Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sebastian Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Thursday, June 6th, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Cottenberg,
Present.
Mr. Carter,
Present.
Ms. LaRusso,
Present.
Ms. Battles,
Here.
Mr. Reno,
Here.
Ms. Kinchin,
Here.
and Ms. Geezy.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I have a few announcements for this evening. The first is we would like to welcome Mr. Reno. We're really glad to have you with us, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you for being available. We'd like to congratulate Ms. Battles, who while seems to be, we'd like to congratulate Ms. Battles, who, when we weren't looking, had a baby. We wish you well. Commissioner Sherry Matthews is excused from this evening's meeting. And I need to say also that we are very happy to see so many members of the public here tonight. We very rarely get wonderful attendance at our meetings, but we always welcome your input. I think many of you may not have ever attended a meeting before, so I'm going to run over just a few of the little things that we do here. If you plan to speak to any issue tonight, we require you to fill out a speaker's card, and our staff members will, if you just raise your hand, they'll see that you get one and you can fill it out. We invite all of you to speak if you wish. We do have a time limit. Any speaker is allowed to speak for 5 minutes and 5 minutes only, and you must speak on the topic that is on the floor at the time. All of your comments need to be addressed to the chair, not individual members of the board. Did I cover everything? Okay. And she's passing out the speaker cards now. Okay.
Chairman Cottenberg, we have a couple, staff has just a few house cleaning items. We just wanted to let you know by your chair, what you have is our RM10 ordinance was codified, so you have the supplement to put into your code book. You also have copies of the ordinances that was approved in April by City Council, updating some of our new processes here at the board. And also to let you know, we will have a meeting on June 20th. Our next scheduled meeting would be July 4th, and that meeting will be canceled. And we're not sure yet about that second meeting in July.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next order of business then is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, March 7th, 2024. You've all had an opportunity to review them. Any additions or comments? If not, we will entertain a motion.
I move to accept the minutes as submitted. I move to accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Our next issue is I am going to officially open the hearing, and our attorney will read the item.
This is a public hearing, small-scale comprehensive plan, future land use map amendment, St. Lucie Development Corporation, an applicant amendment to the comprehensive plan, future land use map for property containing 20.38 acres located east of Schuman Drive, north and east of Day Drive, and south of Dahl Avenue, or specifically lots 15 to 28, block 583, lots 1 to 28, block 582, and lots 2 to 29, block 581, Sebastian Highlands, Unit 17. The existing land use designation is LDR, low density residential, 5 units per acre. Requested land use is MDR, medium density residential, 10 units per acre.
Thank you. Staff presentation?
I believe the applicant goes first, Ms. Gunberg.
I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Wesley Mills with Mills Short & Associates. I'm representing the applicant tonight. Tonight's hearing is about a piece of property that's 20 acres in size. It's currently platted into 70 individual houses. The plat existed from the late 1980s. It was platted by General Development Corp. And the significance of that and with the rezoning tonight is that by rezoning this property, the applicant will be abandoning that plat. So what that means is that the existing plat does not comply with majority of your land development regulations today because it was platted in the late 80s, so it doesn't include recreational space, green and open areas, landscape buffers, things like that. So what our hope is in the rezoning application is at a later date, we would come back with a site plan application, and during that site plan application, at that point, we would have a detailed plan, and we'd work with staff to address, all of the buffering requirements from adjacent residences and really get into the details of how this project will be compatible with the surrounding uses. A couple things that I just want to note, and I know Ms. Bosworth is going to go through the staff's report, which will get into the details of the data. But a couple things that we worked hard with staff on and we reviewed is environmental concerns. We reviewed the site for any significant environmental concerns, and we found there's no wetlands on site. There are a few gopher turtles, which will be relocated per FWC's requirements, and regardless of whatever zoning we have, a development would require relocation. So we feel like the rezoning application is insignificant when it comes to the environmental impacts. As far as traffic, I know traffic is a concern of probably a lot of residents. The increase in density, because it's a small site, the increase in traffic is pretty small. It's actually so small that it doesn't even warrant a traffic study. And it's well below the thresholds of warranting a traffic study. And we can get into the details of that later. As far as we looked at capacity for infrastructure, water and sewer, again, the increase in capacity is 15,000 gallons per day. I know it sounds like a big number, but relatively speaking, the county has millions of gallons of capacity. So the 15,000 increase is pretty insignificant. In reviewing this application and working hard with staff, there were a couple items that jumped out to me that I thought were important to discuss with this rezoning. There is 1,200 acres of vacant land that's developable within the city of Sebastian. Of that 1,200 acres, only 4.5% of that is zoned multifamily. 57% is single-family residential. What that means is if we were to develop a project in the current configuration, we'd be looking at homes that are starting prices of $400,000 going up to probably $600,000. And that's just not attainable housing. The city is expected to grow by 9,000 residents over the next couple years. And if you developed all the land in the city of Sebastian, you'd only have 4,000 units. So we feel like our project, although it is a rezoning, it's one step forward to achieving attainable housing. Another thing that was interesting is that the mean annual income for a resident in Sebastian is $50,000 thereabout. And if you look at that as far as a mortgage payment, that gets you about a $200,000 home. So although, you know, the new single-family subdivisions that are being built in Sebastian, they're beautiful and they have great amenities, but a $400,000 house is not attainable for everybody. So we feel like this application is really in an effort to meet the city's comprehensive plan. And as you read through, and I'm sure Ms. Bosworth will point certain sections out of the comprehensive plan, all through the comprehensive plan, it says that the city's goal is to achieve attainable housing for your workforce housing, for the normal working person. You know, home ownership is really the way that the working class builds wealth. And so by this rezoning, that's our goals for the project. I'm happy to go through any further details as it relates to traffic and environmental and any of those other things. But I feel like at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions, or if Ms. Bosworth wants to go ahead and go through her detailed staff report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Staff?
Commissioners. Thank you. What I'd like to kind of step back with, because it may be confusing to our residents that are here and also to the board, I need to educate just a little bit of what's before you tonight and why you see it twice on the agenda. So we have our comprehensive plan, which is our guideline for the city of Sebastian. The state requires that. We recently updated that a few years ago. It's our 2040 vision up to year 2040. And within that comprehensive plan, there is what we call the future land use map, which designates the vision of and the areas for the city sees it developing. What areas we'd like to keep residential, what areas are going to be industrial, what areas are going to be commercial. That is the future land use map. Every property in the city has a future land use map designated to it from the comprehensive plan. So the first item that you see on your agenda is a request to change the land use for this particular property that's shown on the survey in the legal description, to change the land use. Now, every property also from that land use has a zoning designation. And each land use can have more than one or two zonings. So medium density residential can have a PUD zoning, it can have an RM8 zoning, it can have RM10 zoning. Similar in our riverfront, where we have a riverfront mixed use land use, we have 3 different zoning designations in our riverfront, all with that same land use. So this request to change the property is twofold. They're requesting to change the land use, and they're requesting to change the zoning. It is 2 separate processes through the state statutes, and that's why you see it twice on the agenda. And I know Mr. Mills was talking mostly about rezoning, but their first step is to consider the land use. The land use is currently low-density residential, which per the comp plan is 5 units per acre. The request for this hearing is to amend that land use to medium density. The comprehensive plan allows that is up to 10 units per acre maximum. It's not always a given. You still have to put in your stormwater, all the other stuff, but if you can all fit that with the land use, that would be 10 units per acre. The rezoning that they're requesting is RM8, which only allows 8 units per acre. That's what they're requesting. So I just wanted to kind of clarify on why you see it twice on the agenda. This is a 2-part process. We're doing land use and zoning. I'd also like to, I'm going to go up to the map. I want to clarify for everybody so that we're all aware of where this property is, because I think there may have been some confusion with the neighborhood on where this particular application is for. And per this map, this is north. Can everybody hear me so far?
I don't think that's on, Dory.
Okay. Let me get the. Is this better? Is this on? There we go. Okay, so this will be north. Top of the map is north. This is the area that in red. This is, like Mr. Mills had described, there were 2 areas after General Development Corporation declared bankruptcy. They had left some areas that they had platted, but did not build the roads or infrastructure in. It was this area here that's in the red, and that is the subject property that wants to be rezoned and have a new land use. There was also this area up here. And what you can see is that, yes, there are platted lots. You see the individual lots, but you're not seeing any roads in there. This is the area that is the subject property, not this one. This one does have some consideration right now for single-family homes. They didn't need to do any, they're not replatting. They will be using Empress, Spring Valley, and Alexis, but that is not what's under consideration tonight, and they have the ability to just come in and start building their single-family homes. This is the property that we're discussing tonight. This is Schumann Drive right here, and this area will be accessible from, this is Thunderbird Drive, so this is the intersection. It'll come across here. It changes its name to Sunburst, but it lines up with Thunderbird Drive, and then up here is the other second entrance, which is Girard Avenue. This is Schumann Drive. There is a row of single-family homes that will still remain low-density residential and RS10 zoning. It's the property to the east of that. And then to the east of that, this is the Schumann Waterway. So there is no direct access that's coming in over to that Day Drive or Miller Drive area. All of the traffic will be coming to here. And as Mr. Mills also told you, he did some quick calculations for if this was to remain at the low density, 5 units per acre. He calculated how many trips that would generate. He showed how many trips would be generated with the RM8, and it was only 146 difference. It's a different trip. I know that doesn't make sense, but single family has a different, what they call average daily trips. For a single family home, traffic engineers have calculated how many average people live in that house, how many people have cars, and it's close to 10 trips per day. But for multifamily, they're smaller units, they have less people living in them, it generates less traffic. It's like 6 or 7, so that's how we got that only 146. Those are traffic engineering standard counts that they did. So again, that's why it's 146. Schumann Drive does have the capacity to hold those extra trips. But this was just a general for this. We don't know exactly at this point, this is just the land use. We're not talking about any type of design. This could come in as single-family homes. It could come in as apartments. It could come in as townhouses. It could come in as duplexes. We don't have an application or any conceptual plan for that right now. They are strictly land use and zoning. So I wanted to show you the map to clarify that. I also wanted to show you a couple other maps. I want to move this here. This was one in your packet I wanted to show. This is the current low-density residential land use. It is the same as the surrounding area, and what they are requesting is the medium density. And as you can see, there is medium density directly to the north, which already has some duplexes and multifamily houses. There's medium density over here, and this right here is commercial limited that has the townhouses, and it has the assisted living. So this wouldn't be any type of spot land using or zoning. It's definitely connected and has adjacent multifamily. I wanted to show you where Mr. Mills had gotten his. This is also from the comprehensive plan. This is from our data and analysis section. And as you can see, I'm hoping they can do that in there. This is where he was getting his figures in that this 7,600 is the amount of developable land in Sebastian. Of this, we have very low density and single family density. We have close to about 4,100 acres that can be developed. We only have 228 acres for medium density residential. And Mr. Mills is correct in that that is where you're going to get your attainable and workforce housing. You can build, we require the minimum size for those units are smaller than the single family. You're putting them together, so in terms of the financial to put sewer and water and the infrastructure in is usually cost less, and you're able to offer that housing at a lower price. And then this is where of what is remaining to be able to be built out. There is only 54 acres of vacant medium density residential, which accounts for that 4.5%. So that was data Mr. Mills had gotten from our comprehensive plan. I just have one other thing in our staff report. Excuse me. that I would like to go over. In the staff report, we did put the policies from our comprehensive plan regarding medium-density development and also allocating residential development. The policy is that the highest residential density shall continue to be allocated to sites with adequate and supporting public infrastructure, which this area would. It's accessible to major arterial. It will directly go onto Schumann Drive, not some of our local roads. The accesses will be. And with the same or higher density, the allocation of residential land uses shall be based on the following considerations. And within our staff report, we feel that it meets this request for the land use. That's what this hearing is for. We feel it meets the criteria from the comprehensive plan, and staff recommends that you recommend to council for approval.
Thank you, Dory. I do have one question that I think is probably on the minds of a lot of people here. And because I'm familiar with it doesn't mean anybody else knows about it, but medium density does not erase the requirement for green space and setbacks. And could you just kind of give us?
So again, this was just land use, but when they come in with their preliminary plat, and Mr. Mills has kind of let us know that they don't plan on keeping those 10,000 square foot lots that are already platted. Yes, they will need to have open space, green space. Actually, because of the increased density, there'll be additional recreation area. There'll be a higher amount of persons going that you would need some additional recreation. Utilities, this is in the urban service boundary, so water and sewer is available, that not be septic tanks. But yes, with the preliminary plat, if this does, and even if they did come in with single-family homes and kept this, just wanted to redesign the roads, all of that would be required.
Okay, and those are based on percentages of the ground area?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make that clear because a lot of people don't know that. Thank you. We'll now take public input. And again, when you come to the front, you need to state your name clearly. And if it's more complicated than Smith or Jones, spell it out so that our recorder will be able to keep a record, because we do everything by the book here. First of all, I will ask for people to come forward, and remember, you have everybody gets a 5-minute time limit. First of all, we'll ask for those who are opposed to the project, or to the change, I'm sorry.
To the change of the land use.
Land use change, correctly.
You should be able to just follow the speaker cards if you like. You have the speaker cards? Were the speaker cards given to you?
No.
No.
I think Alex is collecting them. She'll give them to you, Chairman, and then you can just use those and call those names out. Is that what you're
Right.
suggesting?
Oh, is that what you want me to do? Okay,
And that'll make it easier. They won't have to spell their names.
I can do that. Okay. But I won't, all right. Mr. Michael Konpaki? Am I getting close?
My name is Michael Konopaki. I live at 108 Thunderbird Drive, on the other side of Schumann Drive. Sorry about that. I just have a couple of questions. They've been kind of answered shadowy with Mr. Mills' presentation, but I would like to get the clarification from the committee. First, what is the reason for requesting the amendment to the zoning map for the subject parcel from residential single-family to residential multifamily? The area under discussion, it is surrounded essentially by single-family homes. The plan is to intrude into that area with multifamily homes. Can you answer that question, please?
If you go through it all, when we get to our part, we will answer them. If you go through everything you want to know, then we will answer them, but not one at a time.
So
Okay.
just to clarify, if I might intercede here, so when you guys come up to speak in favor or opposed to the project, you're giving your statement. It's not a question and answer. You can pose questions to be answered by the applicant later on, but it's not a back and forth question and answer session.
Okay, all
If
of
you
mine-
have questions,
All of mine are just questions.
yeah, so state your questions, and then when it's his turn to come back up, he'll address everybody's questions.
Okay. My next question is, what is the definition of a multifamily unit? Is that a duplex, a quadplex, a multi-story apartment building?
Okay,
That is a big question,
okay.
and would directly impact the number of residents on it. A unit, I assume what you're talking about is the building structure itself?
Residential unit.
Yeah. You talked about the traffic. Has the traffic impact been considered at the intersection of Schuman Drive, Thunderbird Drive, and a new Sunburst Circle been considered? And that traffic may be exasperated by the four-laning of 66th Avenue, which there's going to be a lot of tendency for drivers to access US 1 by going down Schuman instead of going over to US 1 on Wabassa Road. Will the units in the parcel be connected to city sewer, or will septic tanks be allowed on canal front property? And schooling, has the impact on Pelican Island Elementary School been considered? I would assume that the multifamily units would have more children than the rest of the retired people in Sebastian. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I would
Thank
like
you,
an
sir.
answer to those questions, please.
Thank you.
Stop the clock.
Okay, the next person is Mr. Tom Lohr.
And you said it correctly. I give you an easy name to say.
I got it right.
Yeah, my name is Tom Lohr. I live on 116 Thunderbird Drive. In general, I moved to Sebastian 20 years ago for quality of life. And as I looked around the area, we had St. Lucie County to the south that was, in my opinion, being overdeveloped. We had Brevard County to the north that was being overdeveloped. And everywhere you looked, there were apartment buildings going up. There was small houses, medium-sized houses, just a lot of houses, traffic congestion. We came to Sebastian because it just seemed to be a very laid-back city with a great quality of life for people like ourselves and many of the people that we know that live in Sebastian. And what I'm afraid I see happening is an attempt to make Sebastian a place where we can accommodate a lot of growth. And I heard Mr. Mills' presentation about how there's only so many areas where we could develop multifamily housing in Sebastian. But my question is, do we really need to do it at all? And I just hope the members of this committee here are really thinking hard about the direction they would like to see Sebastian going into the future, and preserving the quality of life that so many of us who live in Sebastian have come here for. I would ask you that you please take that into consideration. Also, one thing that bothered me when I heard Mr. Mills' presentation was that, well, let's take the first step and get it rezoned, and then we'll talk about details later. I really get concerned with that because I would like to see the details, because the devil is in the details. I would like to see it all out in front of exactly what the plans are, because I'm always afraid of a foot in the door and where that might lead us to in the future. So again, I'm just asking the members of this committee here to take all that into consideration and really think hard about your decision before you approve this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Please, let's not, we want everybody to have a chance to speak, so let's not waste time with applause and cheering, because we applaud all of you for being here. Next person, Marilyn Dubé, or Dubé.
Good evening. My name is Marilyn Dubé. I reside at 1302 Schumann Drive. After serving my country for 30 years in the United States Air Force and my husband for 40 years in the United States Air Force and Army, and upon retirement, we built our house in 2014 in Sebastian because of the peaceful atmosphere of the city. The small town vibe was very positive influence in our decision to build here. I'm strongly opposed to the rezoning request from low-density to medium-density housing. I'm not opposed to single-family units, as that is the original aesthetic of the neighborhood, and I'm sure the reason that the said area was zoned for single-family homes. I have a few concerns and potential impacts. Neighborhood impact with additional septic systems, or will there be city sewer? Will there be runoff into the canal? The stormwater impact, the flooding impact, the drainage impact, displaced wildlife impact, wetlands impact, fire department impact, police department impact, additional road repairs impact. Schumann Drive is riddled right now with potholes. And what will it be with all the extra added traffic? Local school impact. Is the school, Pelican Island Elementary, able to handle the potential of hundreds of additional students if rezoned as medium density as opposed to low density? Traffic flow impact. Pelican Island Elementary School at 1355 Schumann is a quarter mile from the access road, Sunburst Circle. Will there be a stoplight? Will there be a stop sign? There's definitely a safety concern for children that walk or ride their bicycles on the sidewalk on Schumann Drive, which is already busy. Schumann Drive runs parallel with US 1 and is already being utilized as a bypass from US 1. There would be massive traffic congestion, especially during school pickup and drop-off, which there is already between the school hours, or between the hours of 8 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 4:30 p.m. As caretakers of this city, how can you reasonably justify awarding a rezone from low-density residential to medium-density residential of these properties without proper impact studies, which we would need to know ahead of time? I do sympathize with the need for additional housing, but at what cost to the current neighborhood as taxpayers? I strongly recommend to the council and the zoning committee to consider the many impacts and effects of this type of construction that rezoning to medium density would have on Schumann Drive and the neighborhood as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bart Edwards, please.
My name is Bart Edwards. I live at 162 Day Drive, Sebastian, Florida. I have a little bit more insight than a lot of the residents here. Since 1988, I've worked in the construction industry selling construction supplies wholesale to contractors, plumbing, pool, well, and septic. I have this to address to you. This nice gentleman over here tells you the city sewer is going to only have to have 15,000 gallons a day. Well, the Department of Environmental Protection that now runs the health department says any house with 3 bedrooms, they go by bedrooms, needs 300 gallons a day septic for its use. That's for a 3-bedroom house. Okay? Now, if you do the density increase, even if they don't use 300 gallons a day, say they only use half, his 15,000 gallons a day estimate, you might as well kick it to the curb, okay? Because it ain't gonna work. You know, we have a BMAP problem with nitrogen. You all know about that. We have an upgrade on city septic systems now and county septic systems. We also, on that area, we have the school, Pelican Island Elementary, and then we have the tracks on the other side of Schumann, which have Brightline. Now you have traffic obstruction going both directions at certain times of the day. Okay? So is that traffic going to be diverted down Engler? Who knows? My other point that I want to make to you is this. This nice gentleman's telling you how much it's going to be great for the city of Sebastian, but there's a lot of areas back in that area on the other side of Schumann Drive that have not been built on yet. So let's just remember, when he's done with his project and he gets rid of it, all those people that are going to be on the other side of Schumann Drive, when they build, that's going to add to the traffic, to the sewer, to the water, to the density. That's all I got to say. Please give us the proper thought in your judgment. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Should I ask for help? Deborah Gravely. No? Did I get the last name wrong?
My name is Deborah Gravely. Housing is a basic human need. Generally speaking, housing is considered affordable if its cost, such as mortgage or rent, is below the 30% household income. It is estimated that currently 12 million in the U.S. pay more than 50% of their annual income on housing, therefore living in conditions of unaffordability. As of June 6, 2024, Sebastian, Florida has 0 affordable housing units available. The waiting list just for a housing voucher is 2 years. This is why I'm for the city of Sebastian, allowing the county to rezone available lots and allow the building of more affordable housing units. What do I mean by building a home more affordable? Smaller units, 2 bedrooms versus 3 bedrooms, eliminating the garage, and those are just some examples. Who is going to benefit from these units? The small people who keep this town running, teachers, small business owners, the lawn guy, daycare workers. The lack of safe, affordable housing can end up costing Sebastian or any area in several dramatic ways. It drives out residents, lose potential workers, discourage growth in their economies. If we as a community want to continue to grow and flourish, we can't keep forcing the little person out. High housing prices can slow down a local economy, leaving jobs unfulfilled and less spending power within our community. When affordable housing is readily available, more opportunities become available for all income levels. A big percentage of our local renters spend more than half of their monthly income on rent. That means that they are one big unexpected expense away from facing eviction. The sacrifices people are already making, medicine, childcare, groceries, education, in order to cover rent has only intensified since COVID. Evictions has a ripple effect on a community and harms a community's social and economic well-being. That's why housing stability is at the heart of affordable housing. It works to prevent evictions no matter the economic climate, and the social and economic return is well worth the investment. All in all, we need to be able to provide the people who work in this town safe, affordable housing options. By not doing so, we are only hindering the town of Sebastian from growing and bringing in new revenue. People who have to come from Vero, Melbourne, and other surrounding towns to Sebastian every day for work only contributes to other issues Indian River County is trying to resolve, such as needing to expand busy roadways from all the traveling traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ronald Blank.
My name is Ron Blank. I live in 164 Day Drive, Sebastian. Everybody does need affordable housing. I kind of like Naples, Florida. I can't afford to live there. Miami, I grew up in Miami. I can't afford to live there. I would have loved to retire in Miami. I get it. It would be nice if everybody could earn a fair living, get paid, have the education to do it, and move on. I get it. There's some subsidies that could happen. There are so many places that could be built, so many areas. You have to decide what you're not before you decide what you are. If we're going to change Sebastian, I'm not saying that we don't offer this. What I'm saying is, I've watched South Florida literally get destroyed, in my opinion. I grew up there. I've watched it in Lauderdale. I've watched it slowly creep up here. The town I love since I've been 10 years old surfing and I moved to, I'm slowly watching this change. I get it. Change needs to be done, but I'm not going to take a word of some contractor or builder about the traffic density analysis. I would like to have a real one. I had a family member that used to work for the planning and city council years ago. The burdens of the extra things needed, such as now he's saying 230, or actually, if you put 2 people in each place, is that 460 people? I mean, if you add that up, what is the impact? How much traffic, right? And then once we allow that, who's to say that things don't happen and you still raise the price? Insurance costs still. Who's going to cover that? How much is that? We're all suffering for that. So I have a heart for people who want affordable, but I can tell you, as a young man, struggling myself to rent and find homes and try to make ends meet, there's got to be a better way, because there's plenty of places off of US 1. There are different areas, such behind the United States Postal Office right over here, where there's already multi-level homes are back there. I'm just saying we should really consider what we're doing here and get the proper studies, not just averages and how many people are going to live in it. Because quite frankly, even some of the single-family homes have 6 people, and you see their driveways filled with cars. So that's a great thought, but it's not an actuality. So there's got to be a gray area, and everybody's got to be taken in consideration. However, we've got to do this in a smart way, because I think with the spirit of Sebastian, why don't they offer it? I don't understand. Why don't they take a piece of their pie and put some affordable housing there? So these are my comments, and I would hope that all that's here that we could volunteer for, each one of us, makes good recommendations to our elected officials that will make the change one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Ann Colavita.
I'm Deborah Ann Colavita. I live at 122 Justine Drive. I appreciate the efforts to manage the growth in the city. I've been here almost 25 years. I have a background as an assistant property manager, and my objection is the duplex. Most duplexes are investor-owned and rental properties. As far as affordability, rents in Sebastian have skyrocketed since COVID. So people are paying $1,800 to $2,200 to hire for duplexes, studios, and more for three-bedroom homes. They're going to be investor-owned. This isn't going to help the poor person that needs affordable housing. Mr. Mills mentioned he'd have to build at $400,000 to $600,000 homes. Why? Why can you not build a $200,000 to $300,000 home, such as Habitat for Humanity is doing, make it affordable, someone can put that $2,000 towards a mortgage and have home equity. The density would stay the same. Our city would stay the same. Also, the tax revenue for the city, I see no difference between a single-family home and a duplex. If it's more for a duplex, so be it. I don't think so. Because you're going to have a single-family home with possibly a pool in that area. You're going to make more money for the city and keep our taxes low, which I appreciate. And I just want to speak to the wildlife impact. The trees, we lost our tree designation many years ago. They're going to bulldoze that. They just bulldozed Admiral Circle. There's not a tree there. You're also going to have destruction of animals, and this is a major concern. You want to move a turtle? The turtle was there first. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please don't. Mr. Tony Kraus. I had a little pause there because I have a granddaughter named Tony.
Hi, I'm Tony Kraus. I live at 157 Miller Drive. I'm just, along with all the comments already tonight, appreciative that you're considering opposing and, I guess, both sides. I'm opposed to multifamily housing. We specifically bought in this area for the single-family type of home. And again, I do believe that there should be affordable housing, just maybe not in this particular area. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This looks like Mike Rose, or Ross? Rose. Withdrawing. Okay. That's the end of our speakers. Okay, if you have a card in your hand filled out, I see the man in the back, bring it up to me. Thank you, sir. And this is R.J. McMillan. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's R.J. McMillan. I'm a lifelong resident of Indian River County. You know, I think that people deserve the right to develop their property. And so talking about, you know, removing the turtles or the trees or whatever, it's already zoned to be allowed to do housing. And we have an extreme need for affordable housing, and it's always easier to say it's better to go to another neighborhood or put it somewhere else. I do agree that you need to have proper buffers and make sure that that'll be done. And I'm sure that in zoning, as I know that the zoning is very difficult, I'm sure that they will make sure that the buffers are there and everyone's protected. And it's going to be on sewer. I heard him talk about it's going to be on sewer, so we can't talk about septic and all the problems that all the houses already have in Sebastian. They're on septic and sewer that need to be converted, on septic that need to be converted over. And just think about, I mean, I want my children to be able to move here. And my kids can't move to this area because it's just too expensive. And so we need to allow to have smaller units that are either owned or rentals. And remember someone talked about taxes. Probably if it's a rental property, the taxes are way higher than if it's a single family residential. People don't understand that rental property don't get capped at the 3% cap a year on the homestead, and they don't get the homestead exemption, and so therefore they pay more taxes than the residential people. And so it's always easy to say, put it in another neighborhood. But I think with the proper buffers and the proper requirements, this is an ideal situation to have it in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hey, no. Excuse me.
This is, no. We can't have the shouting from the audience if you wish to speak to the board.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You are out of order, and that needs to stop. And I am having a hard time reading your handwriting.
Yes,
I'm
Ben
thinking,
Hall.
Ben?
Correct.
Okay. Those are terrible L's, by the way.
Yes, it's terrible handwriting. But my name is Benjamin Hall. I live at 1266 Schuman Drive on Sebastian. Local business owner, Logi Transports, homeowner in full. Been here about 6 years. I live right in between both of these entrances where the most impact will be on the traffic. We have a lot of traffic on Schuman already, especially when there's an accident on US 1 or anywhere nearby. Schuman becomes a direct route, just straight cars the entire time. 5 years ago, the traffic wasn't that bad, and the realtor said, you know, this is a busy road, but to me it wasn't. Now it's pretty busy. It goes back and forth all day long. The potholes are real. They're everywhere. You have to dodge them, especially for the stop sign just north of there. And it's just patched and rocky the whole way through. Nobody has talked about flooding zones. I looked at this parcel of property when I first moved here for possible purchases of additional parcels later. There is flood zone all the way around the canal area, which is why it probably was never developed in the first place. Nobody has even mentioned the floods area. So these properties are going to have to be built much higher to be above the flood zone. And what are they going to do? They're going to be duplexes, apartments, whatever. Like they said, those are going to be investment properties. People are going to rent them. You're not going to have owners. You're not going to have affordable housing, people building equity in their homes for later. You're going to have all renters and all investors. If you go look at our multifamily housing we have now, every single one of those has 3, 4 cars parked out in the grass, parked in the parking lot. It is not less people in multifamily housing. You have people making less money, less income, and they pack as many people as they can into every single bedroom in that house to make it more affordable. You have a single family home, you have retirees, you have a family with 1 children, 2 children, and you're not packing a couple into 1 bedroom and a couple in another bedroom with kids, right? I've seen 2-bedroom places, you put whole families in every bedroom, right? And you have 6, 7, 8 people in a 2-bedroom duplex. And you do that with multifamily all behind there, you are going to have so many cars coming in and out of there through these two little entrances, packing Schumann up and down with traffic the entire time. Plus the insurance costs. Being that these are all rental properties by investors, there is no homestead exemption, no 3.5. So every year the insurance is going to go up. The renters pay that cost, which makes it less affordable for them overall than if they were to purchase an affordable housing, maybe somewhere a few miles farther away, and then get equity. So they're going to be paying those super high insurance costs in the flood area, because half of that is flood area. If you look at it in Google Maps, that whole section is flood. There's only that first row that is not in the flood zone. So that's all of it's going to have to be built up substantially, and then you're going to have tons of people in there packing in to a flood zone. So what happens when you have these low-income people, and then we get a storm? You're going to have double, triple the number of people in a flood zone getting flooded, needing rescue, trying to escape. It's not going to be a good situation. The turtles and all that is already zoned single family before. I mean, that's what it's zoned for. You can't really stop that. But that whole section north, that is our multifamily. Everything from the canal south is single family. And I assume it was designed that way on purpose to section off our city between single family, where people want to be single family in elementary school, and the multifamily section above that, which they are currently developing. There's already duplexes being built right now, all in rows, and those people aren't even here yet. Once those people move in, our traffic's going to skyrocket already. There's a whole row being built just to the north, and there's a whole bunch of other properties behind that that are also being built. We haven't even seen the impact of that on traffic or on our utilities yet. Maybe we should wait till all those people move in, see what the impact is, see how much the traffic is, and then revisit zoning another place multifamily. And like I said, it's going to be apartments. What's it going to be? Duplexes? They don't even know. They're going to tell us later. So this is not about affordable housing for them. He doesn't live here. The guy who owns this doesn't live here. He lives in Georgia, I guess. This is about making money.
You have about 10 seconds left, okay?
All right. Am I out of time?
Almost.
10
All
seconds.
right. So it's not for them about affordable housing or helping us or helping our workers. It's about making money. I mean, that's what business is. That's what real estate is. It's about money. Once he gets this done, he's gone. He doesn't care. We do. We live here. You are our city council. Please vote appropriately. Thank you.
We're not a city council. I'd just like to clarify, we are not the city council. Okay.
Yeah, my name's Jim Buffington,
Wait.
and I do not live
I'm
in
sorry, it was
Sebastian, but I
James
do own the lot.
Buffington?
Pardon me?
James Buffington?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and I do own the lot that is right at the corner of Schumann and Thunderbird. I own 102 Thunderbird. And I'm looking at it, and I heard the gentleman say before, there was not a requirement for a traffic study, if I understood that right.
Correct.
What is the requirements basically in Sebastian for a traffic study?
Oh, we'll answer that.
I was going to say that we'll have answers to a lot of these questions after
Yeah.
the public input is completed.
That's fine, that's all. And the other thing is, I haven't seen any additional plans for Schumann as far as expanding or anything like that. But I am concerned because anybody going south out of this development will be coming right there at that crossroad of Thunderbird and Schumann, or it appears that. So I wanted to know, what is the planning and for that area right there? What are they going to do with Schumann Drive? And also the possible expansion for Schumann Drive. That's it.
Thank you, sir. I think we've got everybody now. Okay. I'm going to close that part of the hearing, and we're going to open this up now for commission deliberation and questions. I do. I believe I'm on. Yeah, I got it. I switched it over, sorry.
Chairman Cottenberg, if I can go into just a little quickly on procedures, and then if there's any questions, maybe Wesley can come and answer a few other questions on plans. I do want to emphasize that this is just land use and zoning, but I understand the residents' concerns that we're not getting enough information at this point for you to make the decision on this.
Right.
So if there's any questions, Wesley, and then certainly any questions then for deliberation. So I just want to go over procedurally how this happens. There is the application for land use and rezoning request. This board will make a recommendation to City Council, and City Council is going to have 2 readings of the ordinance if they wish to approve this, to grant this request. If you received a letter for tonight's meeting, you will definitely receive letters for those City Council meetings. If the land use and the rezoning is approved, the next step that the developer has to do is come in what we call a preliminary plat. It is the design of what he would like to build. That is the point at which point he has to submit with that application a fully vetted environmental report from a certified environmentalist. There has to be a full traffic analysis regarding the levels of service for the road, what infrastructure they may have to, if it shows that he trips any traffic counts for that intersection, it is the developer that has to do any road improvements or intersection improvements. We also require that they go to the school board. They have to get a letter from the school board that lets us, that they calculate how many children that they estimate from this. They have their ratios and calculations of how many elementary school, middle school, and high school students could come from this development. They analyze all of the school districts in Sebastian and let us know if they have capacity for those students. If they do not, the developer may have to give money to add on to those schools, or it's worked out with the school. But at that point, that's the preliminary plat. That also goes before the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council, and you will also receive letters for that. When you do, you come in, all of that is all public record, you're able to look at that and all of these studies that they have to do. The next step is then you would come in with the actual construction drawings of how thick the road is going to be. This subdivision is required, our code also requires that any stormwater that this subdivision would generate must stay on their property. It doesn't get put into the canal. It's got to be treated. St. John's Water Management is going to let them know how deep a pond has to be. All that water stays there and has to be treated. Our code also requires that if you're in a flood zone, you are required to work with FEMA to put enough fill on that property to remove the property from a flood zone, so it is no longer in a flood zone. So there is a lot of development parameters that still have to meet. Any type of approval of the land use and zoning at this point does not give the developer full range at this point to just go and develop. And it takes time. I can let you know that Spirit of Sebastian was approved in 2018. They had their grand opening today. So development of a subdivision is a longer process. This doesn't mean that there'll be homes next year behind your house in this area. But I just wanted to verify that there is definitely a process where we do check all of this. I understand their concern that this isn't the information that you get for the land use and zoning, but it's not required by state statutes or our land development code to get at this point. It's a lot of money for the contractor to do all those studies if he's not going to get this land use change. This is kind of the first step that says we're considering that, yes, we would like multifamily in this area. We're going to grant you the request. Then he goes to that next step.
Thank you for laying that out. And hopefully that will give the public a little more time for thought also. And at every meeting, you are welcome to come and make your comments both to Planning and Zoning and to the City Council. We always seek input from the citizenry. And now we'll have some commissioners' deliberation.
No questions, Madam Chairman.
What applicant response at this point? I'm sorry, the next step would be applicant opportunity, number 10. Do you have the list? Did you give him her list?
At this point, the applicant, Mr. Mills, can come up and respond to any of the questions also.
I seem to have two different lists of how things run, but that's okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I definitely understand the concerns of the residents. Change is difficult regardless of how big or small it is. I wish I could get up here and talk more about what our plan was, because the unknown kind of makes this job difficult. Unfortunately, rezoning doesn't allow for me to get up here and tell you about a project we're going to do, because at the end of the day, you're voting on a rezoning or a future land use in this case, not the project. So the future land use and the rezoning would allow for single family, does allow for multifamily duplexes. I know that a lot of people's concerns are that we would do duplexes or something like that, and that's not necessarily our plan, but that doesn't matter regardless. But I did make a list of a lot of the concerns, and so I hope to kind of provide further clarification for them. So as far as what can be built, I think Ms. Bosworth went through that, the type of units that we can build. A traffic study. I know traffic is of a concern. With the actual project, we will provide a traffic analysis. And the reason why we do that is because, we're rezoning a property to RM8, which allows 8 units per acre. But in all probability, we will not get close to 8 units per acre. We will likely get close, if we go single family route, we'll probably get 4.5. If we do townhomes, then maybe we would get 6 units per acre. So with that application, we will do a detailed analysis. And like Ms. Bosworth said, anything that we trigger, we're going to be required to upgrade. If a turn lane's required or a traffic signal's required, that's going to be a requirement of our project, or we're not going to be able to move forward. So moving on to the sewer. I live here in Indian River County. I don't live in Sebastian. My family members have owned businesses in Sebastian for a long time. I'm a fisherman, so I understand the significance of the lagoon and the impacts that septic systems have on it. This project will be tied into Indian River County's sewer system, so we will propose no septic systems. As far as a school capacity analysis, that will be done with our project, because at that point we'll know how many units we're asking for. As far as stormwater impacts, we will have a review through the city and have to meet all of their stormwater requirements, as well as St. John's Water Management District. And the lagoon is an impaired water body, so there's extra treatment requirements for the stormwater, and we'll have to fully comply with that, like any other project that comes before you. As far as roadways go, the significance of abandoning that plat I talked about earlier. By abandoning that plat, when we come in with a new project, our roads will have to be private. They will not be the responsibility of the city, unlike if we move forward with the platted lots that are in place. They would become a city's responsibility and maintenance problem. Our project will pay for impact fees. So those impact, some portion of the impact fees will go towards the city of Sebastian for capital projects, which would include roadway projects. As far as tree impacts go, if we move forward with the current application, the 70 platted lots as they are now, I could promise you not a single tree would be remaining on that site. There's just, by the time we put in the roadway and we put in the houses and we raise the site to meet other requirements, not a single tree would be there. When we come in with our application, it will be reviewed as a new site plan, and there's a significant weight on that site plan that we are compatible with the existing conditions of historic trees, specimen trees, and we'll take that into account with our design. As far as the flood zone question goes, probably less than 1% of our site, and it's around the edges, is located within the flood zone. And with our new project, we're going to have landscape buffers. So not a single house will be built in the flood zone. There won't be any impacts on the floodplain. And in fact, we'll have to, if there's any work within the floodplain, we'll have to provide compensatory storage to offset that volume that gets impacted. As far as, I heard several comments about impacting the quality of life, and I get that. And not wanting to be Port St. Lucie or any of the Miami, Fort Lauderdale. At the end of the day, this is a small project. I don't think by approving this small project that it changes the dynamics of Sebastian in that sense, and will impact the quality of life. So those were some of the concerns I heard, and my responses for those. I'm happy to answer anything else that may come up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll have commissioners' deliberations.
Can I ask a question about the existing seawall? Do you have, is that a little
Excuse
too
me?
early in the process?
We do this in a line. Okay.
No questions.
Excuse me, the public input time is over. It's over. You were all given an opportunity, 5 minutes each. Your input time is over now. Okay, Ms. Giese?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. First, Ms. Dubé, I want to thank you and your husband for your service. You touched my heart. Thank you. Secondly, I've really studied this, and I know there is medium density north of this property, but you are definitely more contingent to single-family homes. And I hate to see the domino effect. One goes down, and then it trickles around the neighborhood. Investor-owned. I moved here 12 years ago, and I'm just where Bailey hits Schumann, just about there. And there are a lot of people taking care of their property on Schumann, and I applaud them, but there are some rental properties there that need to be condemned. And I'm tired of passing them, and I don't want to see a lot of that investor-owned property. Fourth, I'm an animal lover. I just adopted another darn kitty on Monday. Last week on Friday, I saved a gopher tortoise, and it made my week. I personally will call the Florida Wildlife Commission in the morning because I don't know what relocation of gopher tortoises involves, and there are 3 burrows on that property. And I know it's going to be developed anyway, and those burrows are going to go, but I want to find out what's exactly is being done. This, to all of us, is heart over head. My head says, yes, we need lower income housing. Yes, we need to support workers. Yes to all of that. I was blessed. I was 60 years. I grew up in Lauderdale by the Sea, which is a 1 square mile village on the beach in Broward County. We were immune to everything going on around us in Fort Lauderdale. We were our own little city like Sebastian is. But unless you stayed on the barrier island confined to 1 square mile in your little village, it was hell outside those boundaries. And I moved here to get away from that. My head says, yes, we need development, but we need to control that development. And that's why I'm honored to be on this board, because my head says, yeah, we need it, but my heart says, not here. So, thank you, Ms. Chairman.
Please don't do that.
I have no current questions.
No.
Can you answer a question about the existing seawall? Would you know if it's on the property, the existing seawall? It might be a little too early in the project.
Sure. So
the reason why I'm asking is there's a stormwater master plan that's going to affect those 20 lots that are currently on the canal. So you may be in the middle of a project, and then the seawalls are going to have to be removed.
So the seawall is right on our right-of-way, or right on the property line. With the size that I have here, I can't differentiate if it's on the line or a few inches over or not. But
is there a 20-foot canal maintenance easement on there also?
There is a there is a drainage easement, drainage and access easement, yes.
That's my question.
And one other thing is I wanted to just make note of is if the project moved forward with the 70 platted lots versus a rezoning, it would make no difference whether it's investor owned or homeowner owned. So I just kind of wanted to point that out, as the rezoning has nothing to do with the difference between that. They could be investor owned now. So, thank you.
No questions? Ms. Babels?
I have a question for you. So I think I would say the one topic of conversation a lot was traffic, right? And so I think I would like you to address the question that I think somebody had brought up about where the average daily trips come for each classification. I mean, I know where they come from, but maybe you can speak on that.
Yeah, I'm sure you know where they come from. Yeah, so there's a standard manual, the ITE as it's referred to, and the current edition is the 11th edition. And so when we are asked, or when a traffic consultant who specializes in traffic engineering is requested to do a traffic analysis, all the consultants go to the same manual, and they have a list of land use classifications. And then with those land use classifications, it's an industry developed standard for rates based on types of uses, and you apply those rates based on the uses. So those rates were not made up by me. They come from a national publicized manual that all engineers use with traffic studies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions.
I do have something to say as well. First of all, I stress I am very glad to hear the comments of the public, because we all have our opinions about things, and I too have some opinions. I've worked on the comp plan, the comprehensive plan for the city of Sebastian, 3 different times. Each plan lasts 10 years, I believe. It's almost 30 years. Each comprehensive plan that has been adopted by the city of Sebastian has had an element in it that says we must encourage some affordable housing for the people who work here. We've never done anything in 30 years. Nothing. This last comp plan, we made, again, the same, and the state has to approve our comp plan. We don't just make these things up. Again, we came up with we must have some affordable housing, and this year, I will tell you, you folks don't know it because you're new to this game, but every single proposal that comes before us, we ask, please, can you provide a certain element of affordable housing in your development? And one of the people here said, why aren't you putting it other places? We also have a tendency to think about things in a kind of a small area. When we say affordable housing, we think, oh, that would be tenants who live in apartments. Not necessarily so. Patio homes are affordable housing. They also fall under what is called multifamily because they're attached. In many develops, there are 4 patio homes attached together, and who might live in a thing like that? Might be me, because I'm an old lady. I live in a great big house that I have to hire somebody to take care of the entire thing. My doctor says I can't climb on ladders anymore, so I can't even change a light bulb by myself. Although sometimes I do sneak around and grab the ladder anyway. Don't tell him. But affordable housing isn't just for the workforce. It's for what happens not only when your children want to come back, but what happens when you can no longer live in your house? Where do you go? If you don't want to leave Sebastian, if you'd like to stay here because you've been here for 30, 40, 50 years, we have to have a place for you. And right now, there is no availability, none whatsoever, for someone. And I see you shaking your head, but that's absolutely true because this is my business. I know it. The lowest rent available today in the city of Sebastian is $1,800 per month. And there's only one. So building things that are not necessarily the way we've always pictured them has become a necessary thing for us to consider. When we consider these things, we also do very seriously consider the quality of life for the surrounding area, as well as the quality of life that can be provided to the new incoming too. But folks, we really do need to build things for the future. We won't be here forever, and I've worked on committees for almost 30 years in order to try to guide and give input to guide the city so that it always stays the kind of place where we want to live. And I want you to know that everybody here does the same thing. And tonight's question is just, should we change the zoning? And we don't even make that decision. We make a recommendation. As far as what will be there and exactly what it'll look like, that's way down the road, and I'd venture to say might even be a year from now before we get that far. Please know that everyone up here, we all have different opinions, we all do a lot of studying, and we do take into consideration what the public tells us. Okay, that's all I have to say. I would now call for a motion.
And Ms. Cottenberg, this is, again, just for the land use. So the motion would be whatever your recommendation is regarding revising the land use from low-density residential to medium-density residential, a recommendation to City Council.
Correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend approval to City Council for the change in future land use.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for to send approval to the City Council that we approve this change. And let's take a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kinchin,
Yes.
Ms. Battles,
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Reno,
Yes.
Ms. Giese,
No.
Wait till they get to City Council.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Ayes are 7, the nays is 1, so the motion carries.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, sorry. If you could please maintain order, we're still in a public hearing. Madam Clerk, can you please
Okay,
restate?
we'll give these folks a few minutes to vacate the room.
Can we restate on what the vote was, please, the number? She said
Yes.
7 to 1?
7 to 1.
Six about this.
Again, which buttons are which?
It didn't work very well.
Dory.
Is it 7 to 1?
Dory.
Are we on a break?
I stand
members up
corrected.
there.
It was 6-1.
6-1.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
There are
thank
only
you.
7 of them up there.
Great, thank you.
Our meeting is still continuing.
Madam Chair, can we take a brief break while they?
Yeah, I think we'll take a 5-minute break. Got it. Okay. Ms. Geezy? Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda we're going to is the quasi-judicial hearing. Can our attorney read it for us?
This is another quasi-judicial public hearing. Recommendation to City Council on a request for rezoning St. Lucie Development Corporation applicant amendment to city zoning map for property on 20.38 acres located east of Schuman Drive, north and east of Day, south of Dahl, lots 15 to 28, block 583, lots 1 to 28, block 582, lots 2 to 29, block 581, Sebastian Highlights, Unit 17, existing zoning RS10, residential single family, 10,000 square foot parcels, requested zoning RM8, residential multifamily, 8 units per acre.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Has any of the commissioners had any ex parte communication?
I did drive by the site.
Pardon me?
I did drive by the site.
That's not communicating.
No, it's appropriate. Site visits, conflicts, or communications. Thank you.
Okay. Would you swear in, please?
If there's the speaker oath cards were for that. So anybody that wanted to speak before the board would fill out a speaker oath card. Fill out a card.
Okay. Are you wanting me to read it?
I mean, we can do it if you want, but if you're planning to speak before this hearing, generally we're doing the speaker oath cards now for quasi-judicial, so that everybody takes the oath when they sign that. But if there's anybody that hasn't and wants to speak, go ahead and stand up and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you before the board tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes. Thank you. And if you didn't fill out the card, state and spell your name when you speak.
Thank you. Applicant, please.
And turn off any phones, please.
Good evening, Wesley Mills, Mills Short and Associates. I don't have much to add over the lengthy conversation we've already had, so happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Staff presentation.
This is the rezoning part of the second part of this request. At this time, I'd like to enter into the hearing anything that was discussed and any data and information that I had presented for the land use. We'd like to also move that into this hearing also. This would rezone the property from RS10, which is your 10,000 square foot lots, to RM8, 8 units per acre. That does allow for single family houses, duplexes, multifamily. That could be townhouses, it could be apartments, it could be patio homes. It also allows for some of those low impact type of daycares, low impact type of uses, daycare all. But as far as I know, this is a residential request. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Commissioners? No?
I have no questions.
No? We have no questions. I'm going to open the floor to anyone who wants to speak to this. In favor? Opposed? In favor? Yes, sir? Come to forward and identify yourself, please.
Ms. Conberg, he would need a
Yeah.
Fill it out after. It's fine.
Okay. My name's Brent Wallenberg. WOHLENBERG.
Well, what I'm finding is all your cars, all your boats, all your planes, everything that burns fossil fuel that emits carbon monoxide. When the carbon monoxide comes in contact with water, it makes carbonic acid. And a lot of your issues that we have right now is your organic material being preserved in this carbonic acid the way pickles are preserved in vinegar. Now, my dad was a fish guide 60 years ago, and the shore of our lagoon was foam, knee deep. And now that foam is on the beach, and it's the acid from the lagoon turning our beach to liquid. And you bring back the foam back in the lagoon the way it was, everything's going to come back. I mean, it'll come back hard. Okay, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? No? Okay. No additional comments from the applicant? No? Staff summary?
Staff recommends approval.
Final deliberation or questions from anybody on the committee? No. Then I will call for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval for the change in zoning from single family to medium density residential.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Ms. Geezy,
No.
Mr. Reno,
Yes.
Ms. Battles,
Yes.
Ms. Kinchin,
Yes.
Mr. Carter,
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg.
Yes.
And this vote is 6 in favor, 1 against.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And next item on our agenda.
Would you like for me to read it?
Yes, please.
This is a quasi-judicial public hearing, recommendation to City Council on a special use permit, Big Dan's Car Wash, address 1979 US Highway 1, in the CRA Redevelopment Riverfront Overlay District, Commercial Riverfront CR Zoning District.
Again, to the commissioners, any ex parte communication with the applicant? No? Okay. Do we need to swear in?
Is the applicant here? Did you stand up already? Or we did this already or no? Okay. Did you fill out the card? Okay, then you're good to go.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay for the night.
Yeah, you only have to be sworn in once.
Okay, if the applicant will make his presentation.
Jason Sheridan with Pannoni Associates. I'm here to represent.
Will you spell your last name?
SHERIDAN. Representing Big Dan's Car Wash for the special use application. So the subject site is just south of the Walmart Supercenter along southbound US 1. There are restaurants to the south, Walmart Supercenter directly to the north, and access to Jackson Street a little further south of the restaurants. It's about a little over a 1 acre site, zoned commercial riverfront, and the current traffic along US 1 is about 22,000 vehicles a day on average. Site access, again, looking at the diagram, there's an existing access. I don't have a pointer, so I'll try to describe it as best I can. There's an existing access to US 1 South that is shared with Walmart, and then there's a driveway south to US 1 North. There's a light along Jackson Street that's going to be used. And you can see that we are actually reducing trips as opposed to the bank that was there previously. So it's a better picture showing the access throughout the site. There's an existing driveway to the north, to the top, existing driveway to the left or the west. There'll be 10 queuing spaces at the pay kiosk as you enter the car wash, through the proposed car wash into 34 vacuum stalls, and then all the way to the west will be 5 parking stalls, 2 ADA compliant. And then you would exit the site either to the north through the shared access with Walmart or to the south through Jackson Street, moving in a counterclockwise direction. And there are currently utilities serving the site: water, sewer, storm, and power. The architectural design of the building is compliant with the Riverfront Overlay District. As you can see from the building elevations currently on the screen. And a couple of the comments that were in the staff report were regarding existing car wash sites within the general vicinity of our proposed site. The 3 up on the screen now are all self-serve car wash that don't really compete with the express car wash. There are different clientele that goes through there, mostly larger vehicles, some boats. The only one that was noted that would compete would be the Dirty Dogs, which was recently expired as going through Indian River County. I believe it was on 5/24 that application has expired, so that's null and void. Along those lines, some of the, I guess from Motor City Washworks newspaper article, the highlighted entity there states that the primary location for a car wash would be in an area near a Walmart or a commercial area like a strip mall, which is basically where the World Savings Bank and our proposed site are. So again, it is along US 1, which gets about 22,000 vehicles a day. Car wash averages about 150 vehicles a day. It is in a retail corridor with good visibility from both travel directions, easily accessible. There is sufficient space on the site for the car wash to operate. And just given the average annual daily traffic of US 1, we would be targeting about a little less than 1% of the daily traffic, and about 3% of the total traffic to and from Walmart. That Walmart, as you can see, gets about 136,000 monthly visits. And that's just the Walmart. That's not accounting for the Publix to the north. That's another about 82,000. So the Walmart population draw is, again, the target population, is well outside the limits of Sebastian. I think the total population draw is about a little under 67,000. And in that 67,000, it's about between 39 and 25,000 cars just registered in that area. And I guess one additional item would be the current deed restrictions that Walmart does have on that property. We do understand it's been sitting vacant for a little while. So the red strikeouts are deed restrictions that Walmart will not permit. The black strikeouts are limitations, permitted uses that the lot size will not support. So if you go through all the permitted uses in the commercial riverfront district, medical services, some sort of accessory to a permitted use, administrative services, and building professional offices are about the only facilities that that site will support, which is the reason I believe it's been sitting for about 12 years. And that's about it. I know that this might seem like a deja vu, because I was up here for another car wash about a year ago that was approved for the same permit that we're applying for now. Were there any questions, or should I wait till after the staff presentation? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Staff?
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, Mr. Sheridan is correct. Last January, there were 2 car washes that came before you in the same meeting. They went before City Council, and they were both approved. Not unanimously, but they were approved. One of the car washes on Sebastian Boulevard had withdrawn their interest, and the previous car wash on this site withdrew their interest also on this site. So we did have this, a new company come in. We had to verify, we verified with our city attorney based on the resolution approving the special use. It was applicant specific and not just general that went with the property. And so that is why we're before you again. This is a different applicant, and this application should be looked at on its own merits. This is strictly for the use. This is a special use permit request. We don't have anything in our land development code regarding car washes, so we go through this process to get the use approved first. If it is approved, then we will come in with the site plan. That site plan will come before you. They'll have to meet all the requirements that any site plan in the Riverfront Overlay District would need to meet. We did work with them. We didn't want to have a conceptual elevation before you that was not going to even work in the riverfront. So this is the proposal that they have, and we'll call it a conceptual, even though it does mean a Riverfront Overlay District. There may be end up tweaks through the site plan. So I'd like to go over kind of what some of our concerns that may have been updated from from last year, but specific to this application. And this begins on page 3. I'll go over these briefly. We do have still some concerns with proximity to existing car wash facilities. I know last year we had a little bit more concern with market saturation because we had that other car wash come in, but they have pulled out. So at this particular time, we still have some concerns of the proximity to the existing car washes. There is existing Purple Pelican that is operational on US 1, about 1,100 feet from the site. There are 2 other operational car washes in the city also. We had some verbal verification from the county that the Dirty Dogs application, this was on May 30th, was still good standing, that they were still continuing to review. We will verify that if the application has expired. I will get clarification for that for sure tomorrow. But we do have some concerns, and why that matters to us, the proximity, is our concern is that if one of these 3 businesses, car washes, were to go out of business, it certainly is a free enterprise system. Whoever gives the best service wins. But what's our problem, our concern is these buildings are very specific to a car wash use. If they go out of business, it's hard to turn the bank into turn the car wash into a medical office or a restaurant. It's specific to the car wash. So we still have that concern that there may be a cluster of 3 car washes in this area. Site history and why on one of Mr. Sheraton's slides you saw the deed restrictions. This Walmart was developed first. This is an out parcel. It is not tied at all to the Walmart site or stormwater design, that lake in the back, but it was access to this property. FDOT was not going to give them a driveway. It would be too close to the Walmart driveway. So they had to get access approval from Walmart. There is a recorded document. In that recorded document, Walmart said, we'll let you come through our parking lot, but hey, we don't want you to compete with any services that we're offering at our store. So in that recorded document, there are some deed restrictions for this site. The document also states that any use for the site also has to kind of get approved from Walmart, and that is in your packet as an exhibit. It was a general okay from Walmart for car washes that we had received last year. It was not applicant specific. We are considering that to be a general approval for the car wash. So Walmart is okay with that car wash, and that explains the deed restrictions. Those aren't per city code, but from Walmart's document. The proposed elevations and conceptual site plan are just that. They're just so that you can consider this, so you can see what they were proposing, but it is not any type of approval for the site plan that will come before you if it does get approved through a formal site plan application. As with any car wash, we are always concerned with noise, but this is not adjacent to any residential, as on the other side of US 1 they would be abutting residential. This one is not. However, Staff, if this does get recommended, if you make a recommendation of approval, staff has some suggested conditions of approval on page 6. And we put this for any of our car washes, that industry standard recommended noise reduction measures required for the car wash equipment. So when that site plan application comes in and our building permit, we're going to see that they're using the most up-to-date noise reduction practices for their equipment in the tunnel. Because the site is existing, there are a lot of beautiful oak trees that have grown over the years that are in there, and most of those trees are already in the required 10-foot buffer, perimeter buffer. So as was approved in the resolution for the previous car wash, we're requesting that all the existing oak trees and cabbage palms located on the site, especially those in the perimeter buffer, are preserved. And then there are some really nice oak trees, specimen oak trees, right outside their property on the Walmart property. We would hope that those would be the tree protection measures for any site plan development. The special use permit will expire 3 years from the date of approval if construction of the facility has not begun. That's just an expiration date for the special use permit. And of course, any other conditions that you would like to consider and/or City Council would be added into a resolution if this is approved. There are criteria per the code that the Planning and Zoning Commission is required to see that they satisfy the criteria. Staff does feel that it does meet all that criteria. As staff at this point asks you to consider this request and make a recommendation to either approve the special permit request, approve it with conditions, or deny it and make that recommendation to City Council.
Thank you. I will ask now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this, other than the applicant, of course? Anyone opposed? Seeing none. I think we can dispense with the applicant again, because I know you've covered all of that together. And your summary is already there. So let's go to the commissioner's deliberations. And again, we'll start on this end. Any deliberations? No? Linda?
No, we've already
No
approved the car
questions?
wash on this site.
I just have a question about the special use permit. The special use permit, what's 3 years? Is that like typical? 3 years expiration, or is that?
So we have found in the past, we've had a few special use permits that did not have expiration dates were not added in them. And so even 10 years later, they're applicable. And we have determined that it's good because there are changed conditions 10, 15 years down the road for an applicant to come back and say, or a different developer, a different owner say, we want to do this, but 10 years down, the city may have grown different. So we feel adding an expiration date is sound planning, so that if there are any changed conditions in a few years, if this expires, then they want to come back and reapply, you can reconsider this. So what this states is basically, this gives them 3 years to come up with their site plan. Even if it got approved, there's still time that if they need to wait a year, we can extend that site plan. But within 3 years, they need to have the car wash under construction, or the special use would expire. You have to come up here.
When does that expiration date start? Is it start of construction when we pull the permit?
It starts from the date of approval if construction has not begun. So if City Council, if they're at a July meeting, July 2024, you would have till July 2027 to have broken ground and begun construction. And then once you start construction, your building permit that's all tied then to your building permit. But yes, it's recommended.
Can I have your name, please?
Darcy Leesburg, L-E-E.
Darcy?
Yep, Darcy, D-A-R-C-Y, Leesburg.
Thank you.
All right.
Could you also tell me if the lift station on site, is that viable? Is it operational, or the existing lift station?
The lift station on site would be redesigned. We would use the same tie-in
we went halfway through the design of the previous site, so we're pretty familiar with the utilities. It's been abandoned for over 10 years. We wouldn't even think about trying to reuse that. We would just replace it.
Okay.
Ms. Battles?
Yeah, I got a couple questions for the applicant. So as far as Dory's recommendation to keep the specimen trees, do you foresee any issue with doing that?
No, we didn't. The previous layout, there was no issue with it. This one is a little more conservative around the perimeter. So the only trees that are going to be impacted are within the site, not along the property line.
Okay. And then I see on the site plan, a proposed gate on the northern access to the Walmart. Is the intent that you would direct traffic to the rear? And I know this isn't a site plan application, but you presented a site plan, so I just got a question about it.
That'd be for after hours.
Okay.
That'd be it's like a lockable swing gate.
Okay, so the main access would be, the intent would be for traffic to come through the north access there in the Walmart to come,
Either or. Entrance would,
I guess
just
southbound
with that
traffic.
straight line
Southbound
through the
traffic would
kiosk,
come in there.
would probably go in through Jackson or through that driveway.
Yeah.
But that would probably be used more for an exit, especially if you were going straight, if you were turning southbound US 1. Northbound, they would probably go south down Jackson to that light.
Yeah.
So we do want to remind you that this is just for the use. I know that this had been discussed. We had discussed the access to the site on a previous site plan. So I don't want to get tied into that. That would be set in stone traffic flow through the site.
My last question is, do you mind, or do you have anything to share as to why the previous applicant walked from the site? Was it a site plan related issue, or was it I guess, can you speak to that?
I can't really. I'm the engineer for both. I don't know. I was just told to stop by the developer, the franchise, at that point. So I didn't really ask the financial reasons.
Okay.
We were just told to stop the design.
Okay. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. I will now call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to council for the special use application of Big Dan's Car Wash. Oh, with the conditions from council. Yes.
Okay.
Or sorry, from staff.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Yes. Ms. Battles?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Ms. Geesey?
No.
Ms. Kinchin?
Yes.
Mr. Reno?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
No.
And Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes and 2 nays. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scheduled before for the one hearing at City Council. We'll let you guys know the dates.
There being no unfinished business and no new business on our agenda, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.